Hey guys, I'm finally talking about the game. You know, the game. The game that everyone is like playing and like all excited because a remake is apparently happening. Wait, they're not excited about a remake? Wait, they aren't excited about a remake? No? Okay. Hello there everybody and welcome to another edition of Platinum Impressions. First one of actually 2016 actually. This series in which I talk about games and games are talked about and all that other stuff. Yeah. So what I'm going to be talking about straight to the point is Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 1, but I played the Steam version because the Steam version is obviously superior. So, you all know this. You all know this game. It is the game that everyone was talking about when it came out in 1997. It was like the biggest game ever made. Like, it made a lot of money, brought JRPGs to the mainstream. It was so big, it was good, it was all that stuff. But now playing it and completing it in 2015 or 16, whatever year you want to call it, you know, it's a great game. It's a great game. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy, but you know, it's a good game. It's a good game nonetheless. So, what is happening here is, well, of course every Final Fantasy has a different story, and this one is no different. Basically put, what happens is that you're playing this guy called Cloud Strife, and he is basically he is a mercenary for hire working with the eco-terrorist group called Avalanche. Which, by the way, they are the good guys when I say eco-terrorists because, well, they live in the city of Midgar where it's all polluted and, you know, this big company called the Shinra Electric Power Company is sucking the life out of the planet. And of course, it's up to Avalanche and Cloud to stop them. Yeah. But when something from Cloud's past, aka his boyfriend Sephiroth, goes awry and starts killing everybody, Cloud starts to wonder, hey, why is he alive? Why is he like all alive right now? So he has to go on this big journey to find him and find out what he's up to. Along with his friends, Tifa, Barrett, the leader of Avalanche, Interest, plot device girl Aerith, or Eris, whatever you want to call him. Fat Moogle thing called Kate Sith. Red Dog thing called Red 13. And two optional guys. The Vampire Vincent, who's probably not even a vampire to begin with, I don't even know. And the Ninja Yuffie. Yeah. And that's basically the gist of what happens in the story. Just basically, but you all know what happens in the story. I don't even need to explain it. But here's the weird thing, actually. I know of some people who really don't like Cloud as a character, like even in Final Fantasy VII, because, you know, after Final Fantasy VII, he was all like, oh, I'm gonna be like pushing away people and all that stuff. I'm gonna have this big gruff voice and all that stuff. And especially in Kingdom Hearts, from the way I've seen it. But, you know, in Final Fantasy VII, Cloud wasn't even that bad, actually. He actually had a relatively decent character. He was cocky, he knew when to be brave and all that stuff. Yeah. He actually had a freaking personality, and of course there was this one scene that I really liked unexpectedly. It was actually near the end of the game where Cloud and Yuffie were talking about being on the airship and all that stuff, and Yuffie was all sick and whatnot, and he's like, you know what? Being on a moving vehicle, it sucks, man. It just sucks. Like, I don't know why. I just really like that scene. I don't know why. But I do. And of course, even if you expect that one certain scene coming, yes, you know what I'm talking about. The one that everyone goes crazy for. I'm not going to spoil it here, but even if you do see it coming because you already knew, like, years beforehand it existed, it can still hit you right in the feels, man. I was actually at school when it happened, and I nearly had a feels attack. I'm sorry. Yeah. And of course, like, the other thing I kind of knew about that scene, and, you know, kind of why it worked, is because, well, your other party members do have a reaction to it, and let me just say right now, bring Yuffie into the party when that scene happens, because her reaction is just sad face. I'm just gonna say it's sad face. Yeah. But yeah, I just really... I like how the story just, you know, plays out and all that stuff. I mean, it's not the best story, but it's a story nonetheless. I like the characters. I actually like Cloud's character in FF7 before he got emoized. His other friends have really good character. Like, I really like Barrett's character too. How he can't like struggle with being a leader and all that stuff. Eris, she's nice. She's all cool and whatever. Tifa, as much as I like to joke about the fact that she has the big breasts and all that stuff. She has a really good character too. Honestly, like I can't really say I dislike all the characters, really. Well, except for Yuffie at times, because Yuffie can get kind of annoying at times, really. Vincent's a cool dude. Kate's a cool dude. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But in terms of the villain, woohoo. Honestly, he's fine. Sephiroth is fine as a bad dude. Like, I get his backstory, I get what he does and all that stuff. But here's the thing. Kefka did it before him and he did it better. Like, Sephiroth becomes a god and all that stuff. Everyone's like, oh my god, he becomes a god, he's so cool. And then you remember Final Fantasy VI when, you know, Kefka became god mode. And, you know, he was better. Plus, he showed up more in the game. Plus, I'm just going to say this right now. You do chase Sephiroth throughout the entire game, but I'm just going to say that it's not exactly Sephiroth that you chase throughout the game. Let's just say that right now. It's not exactly him. But, you know what? I like Sephiroth. He's fine. He's fine as a bad dude. He's fine as a bad guy. Except for the fact that Cloud can't stop talking about it all the time. Like, me and my friend August actually completed FF7 around the same time. And, well, we keep joking about the fact that, you know, Cloud and Sephiroth, that we came up with this little bit of backstory about how Cloud and Sephiroth used to be an item, but now they're not. And, you know, Cloud keeps talking about Sephiroth like, oh my god, what's happened to my boyfriend, Sephiroth? What is happening? I don't know, it's really odd that, but I don't know. I don't know, man. But, as I said like a million times, Sephiroth is fine. Sephiroth is all good in the hood. But for all the other characters, I like all the other characters too. Like, I like the Turks. I like I like the Deal, who is like shirtless all the time. It was before Twilight, so it was cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All the others were just there for kind of story or whatever. Like all the Shinra employees and all that jazz. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. Alright, so what about the gameplay itself? Well, the gameplay in Final Fantasy, well, it was basically the same thing as before, but this is the one thing that I actually really like in playing Final Fantasy VII. Well, it's more or less that I didn't grow up on the PlayStation 1 version because I didn't have a PS1 back in the day. So, the only way I play it is via Steam. And let me tell you, Steam version, don't you believe what anyone says about it being a bad port. Get it. It's really only $12 on Steam. Not only is it basically the same game, with faster loading times and all that jazz, because I've seen the PS1 version before, but the original soundtrack is patched in, and I'll get to the soundtrack in a little bit, but let's just say it's amazing. Let's just say. In fact, I'm listening to the main theme of Final Fantasy VII very quietly as I talk about this to get me up into the mood. So, yeah, it's... I don't know what it is about Final Fantasy VII that just makes me really feel like playing it compared to, like, I don't know, like Final Fantasy IX maybe, because I'm replaying that also along with playing Final Fantasy VII. And for the Steam version of Final Fantasy VII, it's really I like it because it keeps on moving at a constant rate, even in like random battles and all that stuff. I don't have the problem with all the summons being all like a minute long because I enjoy the sequences and all that stuff. I don't even care if they're unskippable or not. I just really like them so much. I like the fact that, you know, when you issue commands, it's just bam, you're done, and you don't have to wait like 2 seconds for it to turn. I don't know, like, I'm comparing this to Final Fantasy IX a lot. Like, I thought about doing this impressions for a very long, when I was doing this impressions for a very long time, that I was just gonna keep on constantly, like, comparing it to Final Fantasy IX's technical aspects, because I'm afraid that I might discount 9 as the worst game, but it's not the worst game. It's not the worst game. Final Fantasy IX is still my favorite. But it's just that I don't know what it is about Final Fantasy VII that's just so fun to play. But I can tell you what it is fun to play, though, is the whole mechanics exclusive to Final Fantasy VII, which is the materia system. And you know what? I was actually kind of sort of iffy on the materia system at first, but as I played more and more, I actually grew to really like the materia system. Because here's how it works. Basically, every weapon and slot, or actually every weapon and armor in the game has materia slots, or most of them do. So they either fit like 1 to like as many as 10, I believe, materia slots into them. And you can fit as many materia as possible. You can have basically an infinite combination of materia at your pleasure. And the materia contains like all sorts of, you know, usual Final Fantasy spells like fire, bolt, the summons, the time magic, and all that stuff. But here's the thing, though. Your materia learns the experience, not your characters yourself. So you level up the materia and you level up your character separately. It's kind of like the jobs in Final Fantasy V, except, well, it's not. And when they level up, they stay leveled up, so you can literally get anyone into your combination, into your party, and you can basically give them their materia at your leisure. What I usually really like to do is I usually like to put up a main attacker, like the one with the enemy skill materia, which is basically the blue magic, like, you know, White Wind, Beta, Aqualung, all that stuff. I like to do like a sort of a magic guy and then a support guy into my party. So like they can do the hastes, which, by the way, the haste in Final Fantasy VII is probably the best one. Because it just keeps everything moving and stuff. I really like it. I really like it a lot. And yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's so fun. To me, I guess. But, yeah, but the other thing about the gameplay I really like is the limit break system, which you take damage and your limit bar fills up, and when it's full, you unleash your ultimate attack, the limit break. I spent nearly half my time in Final Fantasy VII just grinding out the limit breaks because I love that system so much. And probably best of all, compared to the trances of Final Fantasy IX, which are just, limit breaks, except not as useful, unfortunately. You can actually save the limit breaks for another battle. Like, just in case there's, like, a really tough boss fight. Like, I had this sort of thing happen to me a few times, and I just saved my limit break until the certain boss fight. Like, I was about to be dead by, like, the bird boss fight at Wutai. And thankfully, I had Cloud's level 3 limit breaks on him, so I could just meteor rain that thing to death. Yeah, it got me out of trouble like so many times, I swear to God, the limit breaks do. And all these limit breaks are actually really cool. Like, I think out of all of them, I would have to say, like, Cloud's limit breaks and Tifa's limit breaks are the best ones in my opinion. And to an extent, Yuffie's. Because, well, they can deal out so much damage until, and I like the fact that Tifa's is sort of a slot machine little mini game. Kind of like what Cesar does in 6. And I just really like Cloud's limit breaks too. Especially the Omni Slash, man. I actually wanted to get it, but I didn't. You do get Omni Slash regardless when you beat the game. Really. But it's cool. It's really cool. Let's see. What else is there? What else is there about the gameplay? Oh, yeah. Can I just say that the minigames are probably the best thing? Yeah, the minigames in 7 are probably, like, the best, too. Like, I really love the motorcycle chase in Midgar whenever you get out of Midgar. that just makes all the Midgard gameplay at the beginning of the game like so worth it just to play that game. And yeah, that brings up a thing called a location called the Gold Saucer, which I am thankful for, by the way, because it allows you to play all the story events too, like the snowboarding, the motorcycles, the submarine. I just love all the mini games in Final Fantasy VII so much. Like, so much. Like, they're probably some of the best mini games I ever played, actually. They're so addicting. They really are. And yeah, it's really cool. They're all cool. Granted, I did not do everything in the game. Like, I wanted to get every, like, skill in the game, but I just didn't because I wanted the game to be over. But I know for a fact that chocobo breeding exists and it sucks. I know for a fact that I didn't get the Knights of the Round materia, so I could easily destroy everything. I know I didn't get the Omni Slash Limit Break early. I know for a fact that I didn't go after technically the super bosses of the game, like Emerald Weapon, Ruby Weapon. I didn't go after those guys. And Ultima Weapon, I believe it was. Yeah, I didn't go after Ultima Weapon. No, I didn't. But, yeah. I don't know why. It's just the gameplay itself is just really, like, the best set I've ever played in a Final Fantasy game, honestly. I still call, like, 9 as the better game because it has much better characters and much better story. Not to say that these characters were bad or anything. 7's characters are good, but they're not as good as 9. Yeah. But can I also say that another thing that I think is really good? The musics, man. The musics. Like, can I just go on record and say that Final Fantasy VII is basically on the threshold of being my favorite so far? My favorite soundtrack in the series so far is because, I don't know why, I love all the instruments put into it. Like, again, what I'm listening to right now in the extended YouTube uploads is the main theme of Final Fantasy VII, and that is like the best overall theme for any Final Fantasy game. It takes like nearly 6.5 minutes to loop, and I just love listening to it. I just love it. Special tracks that I will give mention to include the boss theme, Fight On, Crazy Motorcycle Chase, Genova, Birth of a God, of course, One Winged Angel. One Winged Angel kicks a lot of ass. Shinra's theme is the perfect theme for Donald Trump. Meanwhile, at Donald Trump land, dun, 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 dun. What else was there? What else? The Gold Saucer theme is really good. It's fun and upbeat and cool. Eris is... I also love all the character themes too. Like, main theme of Final Fantasy VII could technically be Cloud's theme. I love Tifa's theme. I love Barrett's theme. Aerith's theme. Yuffie's theme. That's just I can't find one track in the game that I don't love. I swear to God, I don't. It may not have the Dancing Mad, but God, I just love this soundtrack so much. I love it to death. Which is why Sakurai only included, like, the battle theme and the boss theme in Smash Brothers, because it's like, oh my God, One Winged Angel was so good, we can't include it. That's my theory, at least, anyway. But yeah. Unfortunately, those things that, you know, I said earlier, like the better characters and better stories of 9, and the better plot at 9, honestly, it's still better than Final Fantasy VII's, because not that it was bad or anything, I just didn't find it as, you know, as engaging as some would say 9. Kuja is definitely the better villain because he's got his own issues too. Kefka is obviously the better villain than all of them because he's just so funny, he's so cruel. He's cool like that. And I am holding this against the game that the models are absolute crap. Like, look at certain scenes, like when Wedge was wiping his butt because he got burned at the beginning of the game. You can see inside him. Same case for Palmer 2 at the Shinra meeting whenever you break into the Shinra headquarters. God. Like, I understand it's the PlayStation 1. It's obviously not as powerful as the N64. But Mario in Mario 64 in 1996 had a better character model. I'm sorry, but it's true. I'm holding that against the game. Honest and for truly. But the pre-rendered backgrounds are pretty cool. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. But, yeah, aside from those little things that make this, like, Final Fantasy just, you know, below Final Fantasy 9 and 6 for me. But I get the fact why, you know, people really like Final Fantasy 7, proclaim that it's their favorite game. I understand that. Like, the gameplay itself, in my opinion, is probably the best that I've played in the series. The story itself is just a big wild goose chase with some mindfucks put into it. The characters are good. The music is amazing. And, you know, given the time period, the game looked amazing too. But as it stands in 2016, when I finally completed Final Fantasy VII from having it in my Steam library for so long, I can say it's definitely third place for me. Out of all the Final Fantasies that I've beaten, that is to say 4, 6, 7, and 9, it's definitely third place for me. It might have the best gameplay in the series, but honestly, it needed just a little bit better characters and a better villain, even though I think those characters are fine and the stuff. At least it has the threshold of being like my favorite soundtrack in the series. At least that's good, at least. I mean, I guess. Also, I forgot to mention, but the FMV cutscenes are amazing too. God. I'm just making out 7 to be like the god of video games, I swear to God, but it's not. I swear to God, it's not. I pray on my life that it is not. I'm totally unconvincing right now, am I? I am totally lying to myself. But anyway, yeah, Final Fantasy VII. I really do enjoy the game as a whole. I really like it. There are some parts that can get rather tiring, like Midgar at the beginning, but trust me, the game gets a lot better once you get out into that world map and you can do a lot of shit. Trust me, it does. Just like the amazing like mini games and FMV cutscenes, and the gameplay itself is really good, and the soundtrack. I love Final. I'm not stretching. I'm not mincing words when I say I love Final Fantasy VII. I love this game. I can't wait to LP it in like 2 years or maybe 1 year. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII. It's really great. If you have a PC that can run it, get Steam and get the game. It's only $12. There's no reason for you not to do it. It's probably, in my opinion, the best way to play Final Fantasy VII, actually. Unless you want that whole classic feel of, you know, what Final Fantasy VII was like on the PlayStation. Just be warned that you're probably going to get just probably notes that in the Steam version, you're going to have Sephiroth being all like, oh, all throughout the game because, well, characters have mouths on the PC releases, and Sephiroth's is just cursed to be wide open. Yep. He is cursed to be like that. While Cloud, Barrett, Cloud and Barrett have like permanently frowning mouths. Meanwhile, Tifa, Aerith, and Yuffie, and some other ones, and Jesse, they all have open mouths. Actually, they don't have open mouths. Like Jesse and Sephiroth are apparently related because they have the open mouths all together. I'm just rambling on at this point. Get Final Fantasy VII. It's a good game. Not the best game, but it's a good game. It's good. Anyway, that does it for this edition of Platinum Impressions. So I will see you guys whenever I do a new Platinum Impressions. Yeah. I'll see you guys on the next time. Thank you for listening to me ramble, and goodbye.
Oops.